It's a very good morning right here in Nairobi. And you know what time it is? It is time for K24 Alpha Jiri, the #1 breakfast show in the 254. And I'm so excited because it's Thursday. One more day for the weekend. I'm your host, Sarah Ndanu Teshna.
I'm Jeff Mote. In fact, I have to recognize that pun right there. We start on your watch, and of course, you know what time it is.
Yes.
You see, 10 points for you.
10
Here
points
we
to
go.
Gryffindor.
Indeed, the weekend is, of course, around the corner. I'm Jeff Mote. So much coming through on the show.
Yes.
First of all, England, over to you. Back to you in studio.
You know what? The 3 cats have gone back home.
Zimemeow.
Meow. They've wamerudi Nakuru. You know why I wanted England to win? Because I wanted to see a France-England final, whereupon they would be beaten by France like children. Whereupon it would hurt even more because of that historical bad blood or bile there is between France and England.
But you know the funny thing is...
Whereupon I would celebrate.
Whereupon, the last time England actually passed the semi-finals and got into the finals, the iPhone wasn't there, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, even Croatia wasn't there. So, well, historical times we're living in.
Well done, Embasava Sako, but we'll be talking more about that on Interactive.
Absolutely.
Please notice that my hearing is not affected when things don't go my way, unlike some people.
You're saying something. Okay, there's so much coming up right here on the show. Of course, everyone talking about the World Cup, but let's also just diversify and talk about sports as well. We have one of the founding fathers, if you could use that word, when it comes to cricket in East Africa and Kenya. David Waters is going to be stopping by. We get up close and personal. Talk about his journey and, of course, the journey of the sport as well in the country and in the region. So that's coming up right here.
Absolutely. And without forgetting, today is a Relationship Thursdays. We're going to be discussing how to forgive your partner after infidelity.
Wow.
Would you ever forgive him or her?
Guys,
after
we should just go ahead and teach people how to fly on a bicycle, because those are the chances of forgiveness.
Absolutely, and we'd like to hear your views. Please just be sure to start tweeting us and sending us those messages on our social media platforms. Yes. Our Facebook page is K24 TV, Instagram and Twitter, Tukopalekama K24 TV.
Yeah, don't forget to get talking to us, but how about we get this party started?
Let's do exactly that.
Coming up, rise and shine as motivational speaker Bonnie Kim discusses the power of self-image. We get up close and personal with David Water, director of the East Africa Cricket and Educational Foundation. And we chit-chat about forgiveness after infidelity. All this and more on Alpha Jiri.
All right, Friday is just 24 hours a day, which means we kind of made it through the week. We'll just officially be able to say it tomorrow. Let's take a look at if this newfound energy we have for life is going to translate onto our roads. Let's start off on Mombasa Road really quickly, see what that situation looks like. Actually, what we're going to do is actually head all the way down to the airport junction. There was an accident there yesterday that really affected the flow of traffic, but let's see if things are looking slightly better today. Are they? Not really, because, you know, the traffic is already quite moderately busy as we head into the City Cabanas area, and past that, past Imara Daima, past General Motors, quite moderately busy as we head into the Southern Bypass area. And then again, there is a brief, I don't know what's happening outside the Oil Libya service station at South Sea, around the walk bridge into the South B area, but I actually believe that there's a stage there, so maybe that's what is happening there. But as we head into the Nyayo Stadium roundabout, as you can see, their traffic has already started to build up. Along Langata Road, things look good. Heading down up into the Timor roundabout, things aren't looking too bad there. Mbagasiwe is smooth, flowing all the way into the city mortuary. If you're heading into the city center and you want to use Valley Road, great idea right now, because traffic is flowing smoothly past Serena into the GP CEO roundabout. All right, let's head on downtown into Jogor Road. Look what that situation looks like. Jogor Road, as usual, quite busy already at this early hour of the morning, heading into the City Stadium roundabout. And past that, Landis Road heading into the CBD, traffic has already started to build up there. All right, let's head off into Westlands, see what that situation looks like on Waiakue. Traffic seems to be flowing great all the way from the ABC Place down into the Westlands area and past that into the museum area. Finally, let's head on over to Thika Road, see what that situation looks like. And as always, traffic starts to build up a bit after Garden City Mall heading into the Allsops area, but starts to flow smoothly heading down into the Pangani area and beyond. All right, that is your traffic situation as at 6 minutes past 6 right now, though. Jeff Mote and Mercy Njoroge will take you through your Thursday papers.
And welcome, of course. It's time for us to look at the big stories that you're waking up to this Thursday. It's time for your newspaper review. I'm joined by another Croatia fan, Mercy. Karibu sana. And, you know, like you told me before this, when you're not following the World Cup, you're an Arsenal fan.
Of course, yes.
So you've endured a lot for the past 4 years.
Yeah, I know.
It's right. Now, at least a bit of happiness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, especially this week, it's been such a relief. I was supporting France. They won. I was supporting Croatia yesterday. They won. So, I mean, I'm a happy person.
And what happens at the final when they meet?
For me, it's a win-win. Yeah, if Croatia get the cup, I'll be happy. If France get the cup, I'll be happy. Okay. For me, World Cup, now it's a win-win.
Okay. Let's get started with the People Daily. On the front page, the Mumia's scandal rearing its head. That just seems that it can't be, you know, put to rest. Kidero hand in 3.1 billion shillings Mumia's loss. Capital Markets Authority probe reveals how former Nairobi Governor and Kane Miller's chief executive bled the firm through a well-crafted fraudulent discounts extended to select customers. I don't know what's going on here because this has just been revealed from the CMA.
Yes.
A couple of days ago, I think last week, another story about how the county coffers as well lost, I think, 8 billion Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
Same person in question during his tenure as governor, Evans Kidero.
Yeah.
He's been conspicuously silent under both accounts.
Of course, yeah.
What's going on?
I mean, of course, you'd not expect him to speak until everything now is out in the open. Maybe he'll come out and defend himself. But then remember that this Mumia's sugar, scandal has always hung over Kidero's head for a very long time, even when he was still seeking the governorship seat. So it's interesting that the Capital Markets Authority have done their forensic investigation on this matter. And this is what is coming out, that there's some selected, suppliers or selected companies that were getting, you know, discounts that are really out of this world. So it's good that this is coming out, and I think this matter should be followed to the latter. Because, and given that the sugar, you know, there's been a lot of debate about sugar and the importation of illegal sugar. And given that we have our own companies, we have our own sugar millers, and the best we can do is, you know, bring them down so that others can capitalize on a missing aspect. So I think Mumia's has been in the news for quite some time, and now that this is coming out, it's a space that we need to watch and see how it goes down.
Absolutely, and even when you think about it, because we've seen very many incidences where you're walking into a supermarket and the shelves where sugar should be, there's no sugar.
Yes.
You know, and we talk about the fact that the sugar belt in Western Kenya is failing. It's just in shambles. It's
failing, and imagine it's an industry that can support a very big population and, you know, improve the economy of that region. But now, if such things are happening, then what does that tell you? That a farmer plants sugar, then even if they harvest it, where do they take it? Because even if they are going to take it to these millers, surely probably they'll not get back what they put in their farms. So it's very discouraging to see that some of our industries that we can have homegrown industries, but what are we doing to them? We're just bringing them down every other day because of people who are in positions of influence and they want to benefit themselves at the expense of these very hardworking farmers.
Very sad story, right? Then also at the expense of the greater population's health.
Of course,
Because
yes.
we've seen about the sugar that was either stored badly or came in contaminated as well, and of course laden with all sorts of elements that are not fit for human consumption.
For human consumption. And then you see, in fact, the thing is, if really we can grow sugar, the question usually is, where do we really need to import sugar? You know, I think we have the capacity to grow sugar and, you know, I mean, supply sugar in our country and even maybe even export. So, but this Mumia story it's good that it's coming out now. Let's see what will be done about it.
Absolutely. So, of course, you can get more details of that right there within your People Daily. Still on the front page, 5 more schools set ablaze as leaders urge for calm, confusion, anxiety over actual cause of student unrest that has paralyzed learning institutions, 42 institutions, 3 months to the scheduled national examinations. At the start of this week, there were 33.
Yeah, but
now we're at 42, and you're not even on Friday.
Yesterday
it's a
we
very
were
worrying
42.
trend.
Yes, it's worrying, and you know, I don't know what is happening in our schools, to be honest, because it seems like our kids are getting more courageous every day, because by the time you're thinking of burning down the school or the dormitory, surely, I mean, either you've been pushed to the wall or you've just decided, you know what, I don't care what is going to happen to me. Let me just do the worst that I can do. And there's a lot that the Ministry of Education has to do, because we cannot allow such kind of things to happen. Because also we are putting our kids' lives at risk, because if our dormitory is going up in fire, I mean, at night sometimes. So what does that mean? That our kids' lives are also in danger. But also, even when I talk about it, is this type of indiscipline that they're having, even after the CS read the Riot Act, they do know that now with such cases of, you know, arson and whatever's going on in their school, this could be put in your record, even if you're a minor. So as you do your KCSE, we shall know that, Mercy, you burnt your dormitory at this particular school, and that's something that will be on your record for the rest of your life. And why are they so emboldened to still carry out such acts of indiscipline, knowing that this is something you'll carry? You're not a minor anymore. You'll carry that cross for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, I think the buck stops with the Ministry of Education, because there's a lot that is coming out from this, you know, in unrest in schools. Because I think I was reading in some of the stories that there was something that was started last year, the delocalization of, you know, head teachers. And I think it's been something that's been building up over time. Because if you remember, during former CS Matiang's, what is it called? When he was CS, there was a lot of unrest during that time, and he really did a lot to stop it. But now it seems like we are back now to square one. So I think Amina has a lot on her hands. She needs to see that students are settled and they are focusing on their studies and just not, you know, just running around and, I mean, banning schools. It's just unacceptable. Like you said, CS Amina, of course, having a lot on her plate to deal with, and of course, just a couple of months before the national examinations. So she really needs to coordinate with all government agencies to make sure this actually stops. And of course, students get prepared for the national examinations. Let's move on to the second page. The state defends Chinese against racism claims. Now, government spokesman Eric Iraive addressed the press yesterday. This, of course, coming off the back about allegations that employees at the SGR had been forced to sign an agreement in which they can't talk about what happens at the company on social media, and a lot of discrimination going on in there. And before that, we've spoken about the fact that we are now spending, I think, 1 billion shillings per month for this particular project. So there's a lot of negative news coming from this flagship project of this particular government. But he's coming to defend them, and he says mistreatment allegations will be probed as more staff harassment reports emerge on this particular issue. And he's saying that right now there's still allegations. They want to dig deeper to find exactly what's going on at the SGR. But it's interesting, even as they're digging deeper, already the state has defended, you know, the Chinese against the racism claims. So, and the fact that, you know, some of the workers are saying that they were forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement on the things that they are undergoing, and even they should not put up some photos on Facebook and stuff like that. So, well, they need to probe and find out if really there's something that is being done that is unacceptable, to these people who work in the SGR. Yeah.
Very true. And of course, once I get to the bottom of that, we're hoping that this is brought to light because very many Kenyans have been employed there. And if indeed there's any form of discrimination, it needs to be addressed.
Of course, it needs to be addressed because, I mean, they're Kenyans and they have rights. And even if you're working for someone, really, there's no way someone can just look down upon you because you're working for them. So it has to be addressed. There are no two ways about it. Yeah.
Very true. From the second page of the People Daily, we move on to the third page where things are usually, you know, the mood is lightened up kidogo for you to enjoy after the hard news that has hit you a smack in the face. And Michael Mariah never disappoints when he does that. And we all know about the phrase when somebody calls you such a doll. What if they meant that pretty literally? That's what Michael Mariah is just digging deeper to show. Some people, or some things that you might have looked at and thought that it was a life-sized mannequin, probably a doll. No, it's an actual person. Shiro, how far does someone go for that, you know, look that you've been dying to have up until you look like a life-sized mannequin? For real.
I think the thing that I find most disturbing is most of us got over the whole doll thing once we passed puberty. But it seems like others have a form of arrested development and are not really moving from that stage in life. So much so that they're actually using the money earned as adults to make themselves look like things from their childhood. First of all, there's this girl called Lolita Ricci. She was just 16 years old when she first came to international prominence about 4 years ago. She claimed that her doll-like looks had been obtained without any cosmetic surgery procedures and without using any camera trickery or Photoshop. Now, she boasts of the smallest waist, 20 inches, and 32F breasts that gives her proportions which resemble Barbie the doll. She says that the only part of her look which is a natural are the contact lenses, which give her flawless, wide-eyed blue eyes. First of all, I have to say there's something really disturbing about the fact that she's so young and her name is Lolita. Yeah, it's just jailbait at this point. Then there's a Brazilian man whose name is Celso Santibanez. He reportedly spent an equivalent of 5 million shillings on a huge range of cosmetic procedures to make him look more like a doll. He was nicknamed the human Ken doll. After Barbie's chiseled boyfriend having had surgery on his nose, chin, chest, and even his jaw. Now, what is sad is that he died in 2015 at only 21, having been diagnosed with leukemia when he was attending hospital for yet another cosmetic procedure. This is so sad. Wow. Then, okay, there's this Russian girl called Anastasia Shpagina. She's another living doll. Basically, she takes inspiration from Japanese anime. She uses clever makeup tricks to contour and shape her face, loads of eye makeup to make her own eyes appear larger. She's also gone on a drastic diet to make herself look more like a doll. And if you could scroll up, you'll actually see that she seems to have succeeded. This is creepy as heck. I'd scream and run off if I met her. Of course, this other girl called Venus Palermo. She's from Switzerland. She has a video called How to Look Like a Doll. And that video had 13 million views. She was just 15 years old when she started using makeup to achieve this. I'm glad that she's not really doing much in the way of surgery. Then finally, there's this guy who's a confessed addict of cosmetic surgery. His name is Rodrigo Alves. He's very famous. I've actually watched him a bit on TV as well. He's a Brazilian model. Has spent over 500 million shillings on 150 different procedures to make him look like a doll. I think he looks like the wrong kind of doll. Have you watched the movie Chucky, Jeff? I think he's veering towards Chucky territory. I don't know why this is a thing. I actually find it somewhat sinister.
You know, every time you talk about Chucky, there's always that phrase that goes with Chucky. Wanna play? Very creepy. Very creepy stuff.
So creepy.
Okay, thanks for that, Shiro. Of course, if you want more details, you can get that in your People Daily. Grab your copy. It's free. And get all those stories inside then. Some very strange stories of people who literally got dolled up. Get all that there. Let's move on to the Standard. Disturbing story, indeed.
Yeah, and today's Standard are leading with they're saying that there are lies about, they're exposing some lies about your ugali and chapati. So I know this is one of the most unsettling, stories that you want to wake up to.
What is safe anymore in this world?
Yeah, and actually what the story says is that most of the flour that we buy from the supermarkets, it's not as fortified as they always tell us, that it's been enriched with some nutrients. Really, there's some what are they saying? That the flour that we eat, it doesn't like enrich our bodies. It doesn't have like the nutrients it's supposed to have. So at the end of the day, I think when you're having your ugali or your chapatis, you're just filling up your tummy and your body is not getting the nutrients that it's supposed to get. So that is the story that Standard are leading with today. And I think you can find that on page 4. And also on page 6 of the Standard today, the story that you talked about earlier, Jeff, on Amina and MPs and NAT, they are differing on the banning of schools. So it's saying that MPs and teachers' unions partly blame the wave of school unrest on transfer of head teachers, but the Ministry of Education rejects the assertions. I think we had talked about that earlier. And on page 7, there's that, remember the Moi Girls School, Nairobi School rape case. So the teachers have been cleared, and preliminary results are showing that samples from teachers and workers do not match those from alleged victim after the DNA tests. So those are the 3 main stories that the Standard are leading with today. But I think I cannot finish without saying that they have, going back to the World Cup again, they have a very interesting headline on Croatia, and they're saying that Croatia's keen 3 lions in World Cup semifinals.
Oh, the
I think
puns.
that is
The puns just keep rolling in.
Oh, yeah. So that I think they just had to have it here, yes.
Okay,
so that is what the Standard
are
telling
having.
us to do. Yeah.
And I think that story, especially about the lies in what we're eating in our ugali and chapati, that's actually false advertising. If the flour you're buying from the supermarket shelf isn't as fortified as it claims on the pack, I mean, that particular company needs to be held accountable. Because you're lying to your consumer with
Then you
false
even
advertising.
wonder, should we go back to posho meal flour?
That's just, I think at times when it will just go natural because of these things.
Yeah, there's no fortification in all those.
You know that what you got, it was
products.
your bucket of maize that is now flour.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get all of that and, of course, more details on what you might be eating in your ugali and chapati in your Standard right there. Let's move on to the Daily Nation on the front page. It's about the 3.9 billion shilling debt puzzle in school land saga. Documents show that the Ministry of Education not only bought its own land, but also inherited a huge land rate debt. Worse still, it did not get a title deed, and the land had a bank loan hanging over it. All the telltale signs that whoever who did this either had a lot of ill intention with what he was doing, knowing how he could profit from this, or wasn't qualified at all because they did not have any form of due diligence, as it shows now.
There was no due diligence done when they were buying this land. And can you imagine they're buying land that they know belongs to them, and there's a huge debt that is, lying on that land, surely. I think it was just a fraud from the word go.
It's very disturbing when you think about it, because in every single aspect, and of course, Swazuri still been asked to account for what happened in this particular issue. He says everything is above board, but the documents say otherwise. Yeah,
the documents are showing otherwise. Yeah. So I think it's his word against, the documents, so to speak. Yeah, and I think this matter is being followed, and we discussed about it also last week. And whoever is found culpable should just be answerable to,
Indeed.
Yes.
Also, still on matters education on the front page of the Nation, it's all about the most ridiculous idea ever, of course, of having a school uniform across the country. Yeah. So very many people are looking at this and talking about the fact that it might not make sense, it might not actually help the students in this particular issue. But also there's a question of what really is in a school uniform. The intense debate about why your sweater should be purple and mine red.
But then, Jeff, surely there are more important things to look at when it comes to the education system in this country. And uniform, I think, is on the bottom of the list. And again, yes, we agree that all the school buses now are yellow. Is there someone who thought maybe because I didn't cash in on the school buses, now I have an opportunity to cash in on the uniforms? We really don't know. But for me, it doesn't sound like a wise decision to have the standard uniform for all kids, because uniforms are also about the identity of a school. And also, how do you identify that? This kid belongs to this school if you see them, say, on the road or something. So I think it's just one of those stories that you really don't want to focus on. There are more important issues to look at other than just school uniforms. That is just my opinion. Very true.
And of course, I will wait and see how that particular issue is sorted out. Let's move on. In the Star, on the front page, 20 MPs fly to Russia to enjoy the World Cup.
I want to be an MP by the time it's Sunday.
The sports, yes. However, Rashid Achesa says it's not us. Says ministry declined to send official delegation to Russia. The politicians traveled in 2 batches and are expected after the Sunday final. You can even see a picture right there as the French team was playing. Aina Moy MP, Sylvanas Maritim, watches France striker Kylian Mbappe fly past Belgium's Kevin De Bruyne. So as you are here wondering how to, you know, whether you should put some sugar in your tea or is it contaminated, now you've learned about ugali that probably isn't as fortified as you thought.
Yeah.
Your Mheshimiwa is very busy working for you in Russia.
Yeah, let them go enjoy themselves. I mean, what can I say? They're already there, so I can't reverse that.
Oh my goodness. You know, some things are just stranger than fiction. And all of this are happening at your expense. At the end of the day, they didn't pay this out of pocket. As the story goes, the Star has established that 14 members of the National Assembly and 6 senators are in Russia at the expense of the Kenyan government.
Wow, how smart.
Okay, so there you have it. Every single time when something happens and they quickly run to talk about our community has been targeted, how many members of that MP's community are in Russia with him? Always ask yourself those questions. Right now, let's take a look at some of the feedback you're giving us about what you're feeling about the big stories of the day. Kidero, another issue. He's back in the press, and it's a negative story. This time, the Mumia scandal back in the square hairs. Also, MPs enjoying themselves in Russia. Where do we start?
I don't even know where to start. I think today's papers are really, in equal parts, frustrating and infuriating. But let's start off with Kidero. The Mumia's story keeps just coming back from the dead to bite him. As no sooner has he thought he's over it, it comes back. It keeps being resurrected. Let's take a look at what you are saying about this on social media really quickly. Jay Mwakio says, Kidero has been out of Mumia's long enough. Sugar in dust could be transformed, but the same corrupt leaders took it from where Kidero left it to use his name as a scapegoat and kill it even further. Jehi Akigo says, I hope this is not another way of making Kenyans forget about NYS and the sugar scandal. Bottom line, we want our sugar industries revived. And Jimmy Mugoyo says, let us wait and see if they will follow this to the latter. And if found guilty, let us see prosecution. All right, people wanting to see action and people refusing to be distracted. Let's take a look at the next item. If you think that we are all in the same boat of struggle, think again. Your MPs watched the World Cup live in Russia while you were struggling to watch it on your phone. Anyway, Kelvin Wafula says the flamboyance of Kenyan MPs, politicians, is abhorrent. Hakuna clubs mashinani that could have benefited from or improved, funded, supported with the airfare. Hashtag misplaced priorities. Akshir says, really? If they're not using taxpayers' money, let them enjoy. They have private lives too. Next, you will say MPs are not supposed to take their children out to have fun but contribute the money to a children's home. Wow. Wakesho says, I mean, what's wrong with this? We've allowed it. They know nothing will happen, so they can do it. Let them enjoy tujipange. So, of course, Wakesho becoming just resigned to the state of things. Finally, let's talk about the issues, surrounding the rising cases of school unrest. The latest case was the school fire in Kisii. But let's take a look at what people are saying. Wilfred Sosion says, delocalization of teachers for the current spate of strikes in schools, says the unrest is the end result of a wrongly conceived policy, blames the Ministry of Education and TSC for going ahead with it, despite opposition from the Kenya National Union of Teachers. Kelvin says, I don't believe that the unrest in schools is being caused by the exams. You should go to some of these schools and check how the students are being treated. Well, Shamima said, on school unrest, our children carry the responsibility in terms of how they conduct themselves. But how do we play the role as parents in terms of upbringing? Most of the parents have given this role to the church and schools. All right, that is what is happening on social media regarding the top schools of the day. Back to you, Jeff.
Okay, so of course, keep your feedback coming, and we want to know how you feel about all those stories and more. You can always tweet us at K24TV. Your newspaper review, although, comes to an end right there. Thank you for taking us through the papers.
You're welcome.
And of course, you're having a good weekend, because either way, you win.
I win.
Whoever wins, you win.
It's a win-win.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mercy. We take a short break. At this point, on the other side, we rise and shine right here on Alpha Jiri. We'll be right back.